Alright, easy, simple review here today. Over many months, I sprinkled in some Josei and Shoujo anime into my regular watching, and I just wanted to give this particular subsection of anime a try because I know I was leaning a little more seinen and shonen before. I'm pretty sure everyone knows when it comes to anime and manga, the broader classifications like shonen and seinen are describing demographics, not genres, so Shoujo and Josei are targeted towards young girls and women respectively. Looking through the anime in these demographics, you can find a lot of genres, mostly romance, but I'm also other things like comedy and even a couple action. I was primarily looking for anything I thought would have strong character focus and flex character dynamics. So I ended up watching 5 different anime. Going from least favorite to favorite, and this is just a testament to how good these anime were because, my god, Descending Stories was probably my least favorite of the 5. I'm going to attempt to pronounce the Japanese name, and it's not going to go well. Showa, Goroku, Rakugo, Shinju. So Descending Stories. The type of anime this is a masterpiece. Like, objectively, I'm aware this is brilliant work of art. The style of it, the sound design, the characters, the themes, the message, everything is communicated beautifully and perfectly to the audience. It has no flaws, as far as I'm aware from a technical standpoint. I just don't think I was the target audience for it, and this is a me issue. I don't know why I didn't vibe with it. I still don't know why I didn't vibe with it, because I can't find anything I don't like about it. Have you ever watched something that's so bad it's funny, and it's good? It's so bad, so awful it's good? Yeah, this is the exact opposite. I feel like it's so perfect, so good, I can't say it's bad. I couldn't find enjoyment in it. I almost look for and enjoy latching on, I guess, to messy problems in a show. Like, I need something that isn't just wonderful work of art. It's the best thing I can say, because I just didn't vibe with this, and I don't know why. The concept is very simple. Rakugo is a type of storytelling where it's one character, normally a man, sitting on like a pillow on a stage, and he's just telling a story and taking on the personality, doing different voices of the different characters in the story. He might have a fan with him or some other props, but very simple. It has a very much traditional aspect to it. And we see that Rakugo is dying out in terms of the art form, and there is conflict between those who want to uphold it the traditional way and those who want to incorporate new styles, new stories for a new audience, and the conflict between those. The main focus starts with a character who is fresh out of prison. He fell in love with this type of art form while incarcerated and tracks down the master that he idolizes, begging to be his apprentice. And we think it's going to continue on with his story, but instead we go into a flashback where we cover the rest of the season. I've only watched the first season. The master and his time with his co-student when they were both apprentices, and how their styles developed, and his jealousy, admiration, love for the other student. We've established I'm bad with character names, so I'm not going to attempt to say them, but who becomes the master and who was training with him coming up studying this, it dives so much into like their brotherhood, I'm saying their love for each other, but also just so many things. It's a very character-driven story, and their personalities clash and bounce off each other, with the one who becomes a master being very stern, rigid, cold, traditional, and Tsukiroku, I feel like I'm saying their names wrong. Him being more brash, he likes going out, partying with the women, getting drunk, and just enjoying his life, and he has a very different style that clashes with the traditional aspect. And from episode 1, we know he has passed. I'm going to try not to give any more of a spoiler than that, but again, it's in episode 1, it's very much the preset, so we are just seeing his story, how he influenced who becomes the master, and their dynamic, their story, and it's great. Again, their personalities clash and bounce off each other flawlessly, so that's not what I dislike about it. Is it the slow-paced storytelling? storytelling? No. Is it anything to do with the structure of the plot? Maybe. Like, I like a strong narrative where your choices are driving, like, you're trying to go for an achievable goal. You're acting towards it. And I guess becoming the master of this art form and, like, going up the levels of it from apprentice to your own, taking on a name and becoming the master of it. Sure, that might not be a tangible enough goal that I view as interesting, but really, the choices they make to get there are interesting. With the main character that we're following, like, turning away, rejecting his girlfriend, even though he cares about her, because she's not the type of woman he should be with if he's going to pursue this, how he falls in love with the theater. He used to be in dance, but a leg injury prevented him from continuing that, and he was just doing this because he had no other choice. But then him falling in love with theater and him choosing to pursue that in full love of it. He makes so many choices that drive his story forward, and so that's not what I dislike, because that was worked out brilliantly. The sound design is beautiful, the art is beautiful. I have no reason to dislike this. It is flawless. I don't know what's wrong with me. In conclusion, this is a masterpiece. I didn't personally connect with the humor of the stories. Maybe it was a cultural difference. Like, some of the characters would laugh because the stories on stage are normally comedies. And I'm just like, that was funny? Okay, you say so. And I did kind of get a little bit bored with some of the storytelling sometime, but characters are wonderful. This is a classic for a reason. It is a masterpiece for a reason, so I do recommend it. This was just a me issue. The next one I watched was A Sign of Affection. I figured if I was going to go into the Josei, Shoujo kind of genre demographic, I should try a pure romance one. And the premise is very simple. The protagonist is hearing impaired. She meets a man on a train. They fall in love. This is just their story. There's no real plot other than them telling their story. And I really enjoyed this one. All I can say is cute. The art style is very pastel-y. It is adorable, visually stunning, and emotionally warm is the best way to sum it up. So Yuki is the girl, and she is very isolated, partly due to just being a little bit of an introvert, partly to being hearing impaired, and the people around her almost feeling that they need to protect her because she can't get by on her own. So says her supposedly childhood best friend. And Utsuyomi is very much more world traveled. He goes to different countries all the time. He speaks multiple languages, and he's very much interested in learning different languages and how they can be used to communicate, partly due to his time overseas and not knowing the language, having to learn to connect with people. And that's where the series really shines. It's focused on communication. So he becomes interested in learning sign language because he's fascinated with her world, how she communicates, and he views it as something new and different. We'll get into a little bit more of that. But the focus on communication, not just verbal, but eye contact, touch, sounds, where you stand next to one another, that is all. When I say beautiful, this anime is beautiful. So I love that and its emphasis on communication. What I don't like is how he views her. Like, there is a quote, what's he say? He's talking to his best friend and who he owns a bar with, and he compares her to a glass. She is pure and unscratched, saying something along the lines of everyone in the world starts out as like a glass, and then the world to either fill it up or to tarnish and scratch it. And because she is hearing impaired, she's never seen people at their worst, never heard them talk bad about someone behind their back, so she doesn't see how ugly the world could be. And it's this almost infantilization of her and seeing her as so pure that just rubbed me the wrong way. It was mild, but it came up enough that it started driving me crazy. So again, if it was only the childhood best friend who said that, listen, you're going to be taken advantage of, you need someone to look out for you, that'd be one thing. That's his opinion. That's going to show how he's wrong with her, because we do get her doing things like going out and getting a job for herself. She struggles because of her being hearing impaired and having difficulty getting an interview and finding a job that works for her, but she figures it out, and that she does that on her own with some help from friends, but support systems are necessary. But then to have the love interest view her as this pure, unshattered, unblemished, unscratched glass, that's a little weird. But then you have her, when she's scrolling through his Instagram and being like, oh wow, these places you visit, I never imagined such a world could exist. I didn't know this existed somewhere in the world. And I'm like, excuse me, ma'am, you have access to the internet. I don't like how it was phrased, just because it could have been, oh wow, I've always dreamed about traveling to these kind of places, but I've been too scared to go on my own. I don't know how I'd navigate the airports and the different countries without these systems that I'm used to having in place. And he could have been, we can go traveling together, because it could have been her wanting to explore, expand her circle, and just get out and travel. That'd be fine. But it's for it to be, wow, I didn't know such a place exists. It's too much isolation. She feels too innocent in these moments. I'm really harshing on it. It's not a big deal. It's not that persistent in the story, but it's just often enough to get on my nerves. Back to what I actually liked about the series. I do not like will they, won't they, back and forth. I find it annoying. Either get together and be happy, or go your separate ways and find someone else. I don't deal well with drama. So, when they got together, semi-early in the series, it's a short series, and it's just focusing on them and their growing dynamic and relationship and falling in love. I like that focus for them. It is good. The characters are well defined, especially the side characters. Now, I normally love great side characters. Everyone has great personalities in this show, a great voice, great focus. They got their own thing going on, but they're not so interesting that I'm like, yeah, the main couple, yeah, you're cool and all. Can we follow the side character story? They seem more interesting though. They never overshadowed the main characters, in my opinion. There was also some missed opportunities, because we find out, her best friend that's in university with her, not her childhood best friend, because he, as a kid, learned sign language to speak to her. But her current best friend has never took the opportunity to learn sign language to communicate better with her, until her boyfriend suggests that they do a trip and learn sign language together. Even her own parents did not learn sign language to communicate with her. And when that was brought up, I thought that would be a whole subplot of emotional depth and development for her character. Yuki was born deaf, and her parents didn't take the time to learn sign language, forcing her to read lips all the time and communicate via text and letters and notes. I'm just like, okay, can we dive into that? That must have caused a whole host of insecurities for the character, but it was never really dealt upon to any depth other than a passing mention, and to make the boyfriend seem all that more heroic for taking the time to immediately want to learn to speak and communicate with her in her own language. Overall, very cute. I trust that, because the manga is still ongoing, I'm not sure if it's complete yet, but the series obviously didn't cover the entire manga. I do think and trust that the characters will get more dynamics, specifically Yuki, and I want her to gain more independence and hopefully grow as a character, not just be completely related to her boyfriend. But this is a romance anime, and I do like, was it Utsuyomi? Yeah, Utsuyomi. He's very sweet, their dynamic is cute, side characters have their place. I'd watch the next season. Next is Banana Fish, and this is beloved by so many people. I have been told, absolute tragedy, it will break your heart, rip out your soul, and absolutely crush you with how sad this show is. Those are all my trigger words. I want as much trauma in anime as I can find. And what happens? I watch a couple episodes, I get bored, I go on to a different anime, I come back, I continue on, I finally appreciate the characters in the story. I'm like, oh yeah, I like you guys. The ending happens, and I'm like, that was a thing. At no point was I emotionally invested in this, and did I think, oh my god, these are wonderful characters, and I love this story. I never fell in love with it, and that is very upsetting to me, because it had a lot of potential. I just felt it was a little bit repetitive, and there were too many issues for me to latch onto it. So, premise, very simple. The show is named Banana Fish. That's all I knew going in, other than trauma and heartbreak and sadness, and I think I knew about the ending. But the gang leader, Ash, is turned on his Don of a boss because all of the sexual assault and violence that was committed against him from childhood to present, and now people are trying to kill him because he has uncovered this hidden organization which has a drug named Banana Fish for no real reason. They thought would be a good name. And it wipes minds. His brother was infected during the war, and it goes from there as it dives into conspiracy. He meets a Japanese photographer who, honestly, I keep calling Elijah, and that's not his name. Eiji. Going with that. And they are in love. I don't know. I read a Reddit thread one time that says, no, it's just a friendship and platonic. They're not actually romantically in love. I don't know what that Reddit user was reading because they are in love, all right? But how they grow their bond and dynamic so quickly just left me a little jarred for the first half of the series because Eiji is interviewing Ash because why not? So his guy who works with the newspaper brought him from Japan to interview criminals in, I think, New York. I mean, that why wouldn't you bring a teenager to do this? And they're having their interview when all of a sudden both Eiji and Ash get kidnapped. And I get that being like an instant bonding moment because Ash works to protect him and Eiji ends up running and getting away and getting help and doesn't abandon him. We have a whole prison thing going on where they're trying to get them out of prison. I'm avoiding as many spoilers from here on forward as I can. And it works well, but it seems like we're working so hard for you and Ash and Eiji's dynamic. Eiji's dynamic. Can I really just go back to calling him Elijah, please? Feels like it came along so quickly. But again, they were around in such a high-paced and adrenaline kind of situation. And then we're like on the run together. And you see them have these moments that does develop their bond. But my issue was the bond was already so strong to this point. It's like we had it, and then later on we did the work to develop it, and it just felt like it was out of order for me. So I kept going, all right, I appreciate that you're building this trust and relationship and bond between these characters and to make them have reasons to protect and help each other. But they were already doing it before you did this setup and development work. That was what was throwing me off. Still very much enjoying it, absolutely good. It's very action heavy, love all that, but then my next issue came with the fact that, without spoilers, things in the plot became very repetitive. Our group was attacked, someone gets kidnapped, we have to rescue them, blackmail happens, let's get out of the blackmail, let's go on the run. New threat happens, someone gets kidnapped, rescue them, go on the run. New threat happens, someone gets kidnapped, go back to rescue them, we're on the run. Repeat. And then every 5 minutes, someone is sexually assaulting Ash or threatening to. Multiple times he uses it to his advantage sometime. It's just a reoccurring thing that happens. And I'm like, I feel the scripts could have been streamlined a little bit, and if that had to be a focus, because it's a focus, you know, it's there to make you uncomfortable. You can leave it in. But the rest of the repeating of the kidnapping and the fighting, we could have streamlined it. There was a lot of villains who just popped up to be villains. And I'm like, were you necessary in the story? It was near the end when I really started to appreciate Ash and Eiji's dynamic because Ash has because he has friends. He has friends who loves him for who he is, so it's not just that. They also know he's the boss. You have people who look at him like a train killer. They know how dangerous he is. They know what he's capable of. Even his friends, they take his orders. There's a different dynamic between them. But with Eiji, it's more you look at me for who you think I could be, not for the villain people see me as. You don't see me as a wild animal, you just look at me as me, and I want to be that person for you. That vulnerability, he's been hurt so many times in his life that now this Eiji guy is the only one he can allow himself to be vulnerable with, and that is beautiful. It also does a very good balance of the dark elements with the humor, but it doesn't have the over-the-top personalities that I do really love. But with the serious subject matter, you really can't go too goofy, so the balance works. All the side characters. Oh, listen, I do like Ash and Eiji, even though I can't say his name right, I'm sorry. But the side characters, my loves, because that is where it shines. I will take spin-off stories of basically every side character in this show. The youngest member of the Lee family, my absolute favorite in the series, and watching him change. At first I thought it was bad writing, but because I'm like, how did he change halfway through this to a completely different character? But then I'm like, no, it's brilliant, because So we start off with this absolute deadly assassin who has been raised similar to Ash. They foil and parallel each other beautifully because they're so different but so also the same. And he is getting revenge for his own family. And when his targets are taken care of, he just spirals because he has nothing left. He's held on to hatred and anger for so long that now he has to lash out at everyone else, and he's crumpling and falling apart because what else does he have left to live for? And the hatred he has towards Ash and anything that he loves, you're going after my boy. I don't like that. You need to calm down and see a therapist. But it's really an interesting character. And again, all the side characters. Who was the one that's yeah, Sing, he's an angel, love him. Blanca, whoever that guy's name is, loved his character ferociously. Oh my god, all the side characters in the show, phenomenal. What else? The plot was, like I said, I feel like it could have been streamlined. You had so many things going on. You had Banana Fish, you had the military's involvement, you had a prostitution ring, you had corruption in the government, you had a news organization media trying to uncover the truth, you had the police going after criminals, you had gang violence, you had the dynamics between all the different gangs in the city as Ash is getting alliances and people are going up against or tracking him down along with his alliances and he has to break them out. And again, a repetitive thing of fight, kidnap, or blackmail, or both, rescue, escape, repeat, like 5 different times. There's a lovely focus on redemptions, cycles of violence and trauma, and overall, it is beautiful, and the message is phenomenal, and it's probably a bit more of my own personal hang-ups with this series for why I didn't fall absolutely in love with it. It is very, 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 very good, though. Just not one of my personal favorites. Then you have Princess Jellyfish, and this, oh my god. When I complain about Banana Fish not having enough, like, my issue probably being with the narrative and the plot, and it could have been streamlined, focused, really focus on that plot there. Apparently, I don't actually need that. I'm a hypocrite because the plot of Princess Jellyfish is non-existent. I want to say using too much David X Machina to fix their problems. You focus on things that do not matter. You introduce a problem, and then by the time the characters actually care about the problem, it's too late. So they're like, yeah, we gotta wrap that up. Yeah. No, this is 1000% character focus, and their quirky antics and their over-the-top personalities and just the design and love to this show is 100% why I'm obsessed with it and had to binge it all in one sitting. This show, my love, oh my god. And it's just a me thing. I'm just like, I love this. I don't know why. I don't care why. It's just phenomenally cute. What is the premise? Who knows? You have an apartment building complex thing with a bunch of otakus. They're all women. None are obsessed with anime. One is obsessed with Jellyfish, one with a certain era of feudal Japan, one likes trains, one decorates dolls and dresses them up in traditional kimonos. But then you have this enterprise that's coming into the area, tearing down buildings to make room for high-price hotels and shopping malls, and their building is under threat of being bought, purchased, and them all being homeless, and none of them have jobs. They're all living off their parents' money that they send them allowance every week kind of thing. And you would think, oh, there'd be a huge focus on them protecting their home. Yeah, they try sometimes, but by the time they take anything actually seriously, no, that's not where the focus is. It's a threat in the distance that they will deal with later. Meanwhile, the main character who's obsessed with Jellyfish meets a cross-dresser, and these characters that live in the apartment building are terrified of men and anyone who they deem stylish. So a man who cross-dresses as a woman and is beautiful, beyond all belief gorgeous, and has such confidence when they're in this persona, yeah, they're a little bit terrified by her at first, but it works so well with the comedy as they slowly learn to appreciate what it means to dress up and dress with confidence, and it goes from there. And they see how sweet that this character is, and I love him so much. I love him so much, and this needs another season, or I need to read the manga, because there's such a dynamic with him and his family and his insecurities and why he enjoys dressing up, his relationship with his mother. I need more. I don't know what this series focused on, because it starts with just the main character seeing a jellyfish in a window, and then the guy, Hironosuke, coming to her rescue as she's, I don't know if I should, did they call him a she when he was in cross-dressing? I can't remember. It's been a couple months since I watched this. Doesn't matter. The confidence that they have when they're in this persona, and to be able to help her, it was so good. It's just pure personality. It is just pure love and comedy and personality and finding yourself and your identity and being happy with who you are and accepting others for who they are. And it's beautiful. What does the plot even matter? But is anyone surprised that my favorite of the Josei that I watched was going to be Nana? Because when I say brilliant, when I say masterpiece, when I say flawless, oh my god, this anime. I will read the manga. I will, because I know how different things happen. I've been spoiled for certain characters. I know it's on hiatus. It's going to break my heart, but like this one did. But Nana, the premise is so simple. Two girls, both named Nana, get on a train. They hit it off right away and end up becoming roommates as they've traveled to the city to grow in either their independence or start a band, their own career, and it is just following them in their young adult life, growing and learning. Nana, who will now be referred to as Hachi, as she is this sweet, sweet girl and just wanting to fall in love, but she falls in love too easy. To see her childhood, young adult romance come shattering down, and the betrayal and vulnerability that causes her, and it hurts her identity as she views the opinions of who she's in love with tied to her self-worth, and she needs to learn to stop that, and how she gets into a controlling relationship. The relationships in this are the focus and the key to why this series is phenomenal. Then you have Nana, who is a budding rock star and vocalist. Her boyfriend got signed in a big band, and she didn't want to follow him and be reliant on him or be reliant on anyone. She's far more independent and wants to do this on her own in her own right, but her love for Ren is insanely strong and messy and beautiful and dark, and I love them. How do they have the healthy relationship in this series? Because I don't know. But the members of the band, they kind of adopt Nana slash Hachi into it, and she's just their number one fan. And they're the dynamic between the bandmates that Nana's in the group with Hachi, her roommate, and all of them love and care for each other. Shin specifically, my darling angel. You want a criticism for this show? I don't have a spin-off with him as a focus, because this sweet boy, what is he, 15, 16? I don't know. He is a child. He turns into essentially a prostitute, and people blame him and say he is taking advantage of others. He's getting by on his looks to get ahead and get gifts and money, and I'm like, he is a child. Wrap him up in a warm blanket, give him a hug, and take care of this sweet boy. But no. Oh my god, I love him. I love him. I love him. The focus that he has on abandonment, parental neglect, looking for love, getting taken advantage of, his innocence and him being corrupted, and him trying to make something of himself and following his passion and his dream. The relationships in this show are phenomenal. I need to read the manga. So in conclusion, you have Nana Hachi, who is relying too much on others and their love for her to be her self-worth, and she focuses more on being taken care of than actual love and commitment and being happy, and she needs to gain more independence. Then you have Nana, the one vocalist for a band, who puts so much focus on herself, independence, and creating a career and driving for her own personal goals that it impacts her love life. So they're very much polar opposites of each other in terms of their values, personalities, styles, everything, and they both learn to help and grow with each other. All the other characters, all their dynamics, and it's just beautiful. It's just beautiful. And obviously the relationship between Nana and Nana, they care so much for each other. They are connected in ways that neither one of them can understand, and I love it so much. So, in conclusion, I had a wonderful time watching Shoujo and Josei. Definitely a demographic, I can't call it a genre, it's not a genre, that I will definitely be pursuing more in the future. If you got any recommendations, let me know. There's something about a rose. Rose of Versailles, something like that. All right, that is all I got. Talk to you later. Cheers.